This is Colorblind Creation.
Hey guys, thanks again for joining me for another episode here on Colorblind Creation. It is about 1:30 a.m. here in Hoi Sai, Laos, and it is starting to cool off ever so slightly. I think it's about 80 degrees now. It's been 90 degrees all day or higher, and it's had 88% humidity, so it is a hot box in my house because I don't have fans. I'm sorry, I don't have AC. I have fans, thank goodness. But just so you know, while I record these for you, I have to turn off all my fans in my house because they echo. And if I don't, then you can't hear me correctly. So I'm in here sweating for you guys, okay? So that's how much I appreciate your viewership and how much I want you to enjoy these episodes. I just want you guys to know I do not take your time for granted. I know how busy most of you are, and thank you. And one of my people told me, like, one of my friends, I said my people, like I'm famous, I got like 30 subscribers. One of my friends texted me and they said they binge watched all 6 episodes in one day and they're waiting for the next one. So I felt like, oh, okay, that's why I'm working right now. I got to put more content out. So again, thank you so much for your time. And I hope I'm entertaining you enough to keep you coming back. If I am, and it's a big if I am, please share my videos on your Facebook page or Instagrams or however you can share the links so that I can try to grow my viewership and share my art with more people. I'd really appreciate that. So let's talk about that painting real quick. This is going to be watercolors, white gouache on 100% cotton paper. And the imagery here is going to be based on a poem that I wrote about a week and a half ago. Or about 2 weeks ago, I'm sorry. And I did the painting about a week ago. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm trying to get all these pieces done ready for my poetry book. I don't want to talk too much about the painting details because I don't want to spoil it. So you just let me know after you've watched it, what you think about it, what kind of story you get from it, what you feel, what you imagine. Just please share that with me. I would appreciate that to get what people see in my art. And then later, when I post it with the poem, you can see where I was coming from with my art, so that you can have your view, and then you can see my angle as well, and see how different they are, or how similar. I think that would be fun. Okay, so with that said, let's talk about Japan. And the reason I chose Japan is obviously because in this painting, the model who I used, who is a very close friend of mine, very special person. She posed in this position for me. That kimono that she's wearing is from Japan. So that is, well, I guess in the picture of her that she posed, she's not wearing the kimono at all. That's more from my fantasy. And if you ever see someone, just a little factoid for you, if you ever see someone in Japan wearing kimono with long sleeves like that, that means they're single and they're not yet married. So feel free to go say hi. She might enjoy your company. So just keep that in mind. You see a beautiful girl with long sleeves on their kimono, that's your chance, all right? So let's talk about Japan. Japan and I have a love and disdain relationship. The disdain comes from when I lived in Japan in Mie. I lived in a small city of Tsu, and I worked in a city of Matsusaka. And that was very country, and I had a lot of bad experiences with racists, with nationalists, and people saying this is Dai Nippon. Like, that was where they all congregated. Like the rest of Japan where I traveled, I didn't see any of that. It was just there in Mie. And I don't know why, because like Issei was super friendly. Everyone was smiling and inclusive. And I guess Issei is used to so many tourists because Issei has Issei Jingu, which is like one of the most sacred sites of Japan for the Shinto faith. And I'll tell you, it's a beautiful place. I highly recommend it. I've been there 2 or 3 times. I can't even remember. But it was amazing every time I went. I just love the atmosphere. I love the feel of it all. I'd go there again, to be honest with you. Issei is amazing. However, Mie is not so much. I'm sorry, not Mie. I meant Matsusaka and Tsu are not so much. The people that I interacted with there, just, wow, I had a hard time. So I ended up not liking Japan for the first few months of Japan, which is really sad. And because there's so much Japan has to offer, but I was going through culture shock, for one. I'm not a conformist, and they have an idiom in Japan that says, the nail that sticks out gets pounded down. And so, I just wasn't fitting in. not at work, not outside of work. I didn't have any friends, and I was trying my hardest to make them. I mean, like literally, I would like say hi to people if they were sitting next to me or standing next to me, and just try to strike up a conversation with anyone. I was doing my best to try to make friends. I eventually made a friend. I was at the Konbini. A Konbini is a convenience store, by the way, but in Japan, they're like a convenience store on steroids. You can pay your water bill, your electricity, you can buy tickets to the next concert, to the theater. Like, they are a store of convenience. They truly epitomize that. It's not just get your gas and get a snack. They offer everything that you want there. And there's also food and stuff there too. And some of the food's actually not bad for the price. So conveniences are pretty fun. And so I was just finishing up work. It was Friday night, I believe, and I had walked in off the train. I like to go up to the parks at night, kind of walk through the parks on the way home. And there was this one park that has like this old tomb that's like 500 years old, and it's quite special for Japanese history. And at nighttime, you could walk through like the bamboo. There's kind of creepy feeling to it. And at that time, I was writing short stories, so I like to go to places that gave me creepy feelings, so I could like use that and translate it into my short stories. So anyways, so I was going to go that path. I stopped at Konbini first, and there's this guy, and he looked like he had just gotten like off of a Viking ship. You know, he had like long golden blonde hair. He was tall, wide shoulders, you know, the opposite build of me. I'm bald, I'm 5'8", I'm skinny. Well, at that time I was a little bit chubby still, but I got skinny by the time I left Japan. But here's this guy who's just like way taller than me, you know, wide shoulders, blonde hair. And so I look like a Viking, you know, and I just walked straight up to him. Like as soon as I saw him, I just like stopped what I was doing, walked over to him and put my hand out and said, "Hi, I'm Adam." you know, because that's how you got to make friends, you know, you got to put in the work. And the guy looked at me like, I'm rich. Like, he was just so flabbergasted that someone just came up to him at random, because people don't do that in Japan. He'd been here a while. And especially foreigners in Japan, which is really strange, because you might not know this, but a lot of foreigners in Japan, they kind of get this little ego thing going. They start feeling special, and they think that they live in this cool world of just themselves. So they see another foreigner, they're like, oh, they're going to spoil my Japanese fantasy. And so they like try to avoid other foreigners. And it's not just me. Most foreigners that you talk to will tell you they come across people that do this all the time. It's just strange. They just do this. I don't know why. But anyways, I was the opposite. I've been sitting here in Tsu, surrounded by Japanese people with nobody to talk to for the last 2 months, and I was desperate to make a friend, because I wanted to have a good experience in Japan. I really wanted to make Japan like my hub, you know, in Asia, and stay here for many years. But I was having such a hard time fitting in. And so I saw this guy, and I said, he said his name's Rich, and I exchanged information with him. I was like, hey, I don't have any friends in Tsu. Do you want to be my friend? You know, like, I really just like went straight for it. Like, and he was just like, okay. He's like, he told me he was so surprised. Normally foreigners don't come up and talk to other foreigners. And we kind of laughed about it. And I said, yeah, well, I don't have any friends yet. I'm still trying to make some in the area, so I'd appreciate it if you don't mind. We could just hang out sometime. Go see a movie or go have dinner. You know, just like once a week or once a month. That'd be cool. So that was that, and I started texting him. You know, trying to build that friendship up. Like, hey, you want to hang out? Hey, you want to hang out? And he was always, oh, sorry, I'm busy. And I was like, oh man, I'm getting blown off. You know. But I'm relentless, you know. He seemed like he was friendly, and so I wasn't giving up yet, and I kept pestering him. Finally, he's like, fine, I'll just go out one time to get this guy off my back. And he ended up enjoying himself, and we had a lot of good conversations. He's like, okay, you know, you were kind of annoying me, always trying to invite me out, but I'm happy you did, you know, like, it was really fun, so we can hang out again sometime. So finally, I had a friend in Japan. But this guy just wanted to hang out like once a month. That was enough for him, because he was a total introvert. I mean, I'm an introvert, true, to be honest, but I do want to have a friend just so I can bounce things off, because sometimes I get lonely, you know, usually about once a month. So that friendship with him was perfect. I still didn't have a Japanese friend yet, and I'm in Japan, and I really wanted to connect with this culture and understand this culture. And I was looking, I was trying to find something. And I was talking on Skype with this beautiful Indian gal at the time because I was kind of flirting with her, hoping that we could, go somewhere together, like try to date. We had talked about possibly getting married like a year and a half ago, but her parents like kind of killed it because I was a white guy and I wasn't Muslim. But she kind of reached out to me again. She wanted to start talking to me again, and we were seeing if there was a potential to maybe make something work because she had talked to her parents and they had finally approved of her talking to me again. But she had no interest in living in Japan, and I was going to be here for the next year, so we decided no. And she went back to her life, and I continued on with mine. But the beautiful thing about her calling me that day and talking to me is that another man at the end of the counter, he heard us speaking English. And he started looking at me, and I thought, okay, he's looking at me because I'm a foreigner. Because you see, everywhere I go into, and everywhere I go in Matsusaka, somebody looks at me. They're always gawking at me. They're taking pictures of me. Like seriously, kids do the whole mouth drop, eyes open. I'm not exaggerating, like a cartoon when they see me sometimes. And kids have like literally seen me where they've just like stopped in their tracks, and froze, and then like ran the other way. Like they just got scared and just like ran the other way because they just never seen a blue-eyed person before. Just to put in perspective, the kids, the first time they ever saw me, this is at an English school. I was the first person with blue eyes that those kids ever saw. And the kids said, as they pointed at me and huddled in the corner of I walk into the room, bald head, blue-eyed, white skin, and their previous teacher was a Japanese American coming out of Hawaii, and so he looked like them. But he spoke perfect English, of course, because he's American. So here I come in the classroom, and the kids like huddled in the corner, pointing at me, saying, "Me aoi kowai, me aoi kowai," which means blue eyes scary, blue eyes scary. They thought it was like some demon or something coming in the room. But eventually, I won them over, and the kids actually loved me there. The adults, that's a different story, but the kids loved me. And so I was sitting there, people scared of me. He's staring at me. I'm like, ugh, another one of these people. I just want to finish my food. And the food is important. This little shop is called Nankia. Nankia is part of Tsu Station in Tsu City, okay? So if you ever go to Tsu City, stop at Nankia and get some kushikatsu in the evening, because this is the best kushikatsu I've had in Japan. And I've had a lot of kushikatsu because it's one of my favorite food. It is one of my favorite dishes in Japan. I have eaten kushikatsu at least 5 different places in Osaka, and not one of them are better than Nankia. So check it out if you're a foodie and you ever go to Tsu City or go to Mie in general. Now, so this gentleman, he sees me. Oh, I should tell you what kushikatsu is. I'm so sorry. Those of you who aren't familiar with kushikatsu or Japanese words, it is a Portuguese-inspired dish. So the Portuguese, they came over to Japan way back in the day, hundreds of years ago, and they introduced the Japanese to putting food on a skewer, battering it and deep frying it. And the Japanese said, okay, that's cool, but we can do it better. And they put it up a notch. And so they take these, what's called tsukune. It's like chicken meatballs. And they do what's called, oh man, there's so many. There's like, sorry, my brain is thinking all in Japanese words. I'm trying to translate. Like momo is like chicken thighs, and then there's like asparagus bacon, which is asparagus and bacon. That one's pretty easy. There's mushrooms, and there's all these different vegetables and meats, and they put them on these sticks. They batter them in like this like doughy batter, and then they put them in panko flakes and deep fry them. And they give them to you on a little plate, and next to the plate is a little dish of cabbage and this sauce. And the sauce is to die for. So you take that kushikatsu, you dip it one time because it's a communal sauce. Don't dip it twice, that's rude. You dip it one time, and if you mess up, you don't put enough sauce, use a piece of cabbage, get you more sauce, put it on your plate. That's just the rules. And then when you eat it, you're gonna be in a little slice of heaven for a few minutes as you finish your 5 pieces, and you're gonna order some more because it is addictive. They're amazing. Okay, enough about kushikatsu, try it. So as I finish eating up my kushikatsu, which I would come and get at least twice a week because it's that good, this guy comes over to me and he asked me if I'm from the UK because he heard me speaking English. He's asked me where I was from. And I said, no, I'm from America. My accent is from the West Coast. And he said, oh, okay, I lived in the UK for a while, so I was just hoping you were from the UK. And I was like, oh, sorry to disappoint. And he's like, no, it's okay. When I was in the UK, I had some friends, and they took really good care of me and made sure that I fit in because I was so lonely there. And I really enjoyed my time there because I had these friends take care of me. I think if you're here in Tsu, you're probably really lonely. So if you want a friend, I'll be your friend. And that really blew my mind. I was like, whoa. Because you know, when it made me remind me back when I was at WSU University. I was studying psychology back in the day. There was a lot of Japanese exchange students because I took a year of Japanese because I needed a foreign language to graduate because I didn't do one in high school because I was that lazy kid. And so I ended up making all these Japanese TA friends who didn't know anybody, and I like adopted them. Once a week I'd invite them over to my house. We'd do a big meal. And so my house was often full of Japanese students, like all the time. And it was really nice. And I had also done like his friends had done for him in the UK. So I understood what he was talking about. And so when he said that to me, it felt like karma was coming back around, like someone was going to help me acclimate to this culture. I was hoping at this time. So I was like, really? Like we can, and he's like, yeah, I'd love to practice English, you know? And I was like, that's the key. Everyone always wants to practice English. You know, does he really want to be my friend or not? So I kind of started thinking about it, like, am I, being paranoid? Like, but I was like, no, I'm not gonna second guess this. I need a friend, you know. So I introduced myself. He introduced himself. I won't use his name because he is quite famous in Japan, actually, and I don't want, because I'm gonna tell some funny stories that I don't know if he'd approve of me sharing to the whole world. So I don't want to name drop him right now. I'll ask permission later. So anyways, so my buddy and I, this my new friend, for 5 minutes, we talk for like 30 minutes before I go home. But before I go home, he gives me his phone number and his line. Everyone in Japan uses line. It's like their Facebook. And so I go back to my place and he sends me a text. And I texted Rich. I was like, dude, I just met a friend finally, like a Japanese friend. And so maybe we can hang out together, the three of us, like make a friend group, like we're going to upgrade this thing, And so at that point, me and Rich were just doing like a weekly dinner. I finally got him out to where he'd come out about once a week. And it was nice, just having someone to speak English with. And so anyway, so I get this text from this guy. And the text says like, if you're ever lonely, just text me and I'll come over and take care of you. And I was like, oh man, did I just get hit on? I totally just got hit on, and I don't mind being hit on. That's extremely flattering, like it's not a deal at all. It's not even an issue if someone is homosexual. I don't care, not even 0%. I mean, like not a care in the world. So I was like, if he just wanted to be my buddy, that would be cool. But it's from that text right there, it sounded like he wanted, to get with me. And I was like, oh man, that sucks. So he invited me out a couple more times, but I just kind of ignored his text, like, whatever. Like I don't want to go on a date. I want a friend, And then one day he texts me, and he says, hey, I sent you some texts before. I don't know if you got them or whatever. And he's like, but I'm going out tonight with my girl. We're going to go to have hamburgers at this iron bar here in Matsusaka. Why don't you come join us? And after work or come down. I think I took a train down. It wasn't after work. I took a train down. And you can spend the night hanging out here with Matsusaka and we'll have a great time. And I just thinking about it like, what? Are you kidding me? He's got a girl? Like, really? So yeah, I'm coming. I'd love to have a hamburger. I haven't had a hamburger since I left America. Let's do this. So like, I felt like an idiot because all those times that he invited me out previously and I just like ignored them, like he was just really trying to be friendly and not trying to hit on me, and I was just being a total idiot. So anyways, I got on this train. I go down there. We had this delicious hamburger. The guy stacked it with a fried egg and everything with bacon. It was so good, and it was like $10, which is pretty cheap in Japan for such a large size hamburger. And they use Matsusaka beef. I don't know if you're familiar with the styles of Japanese beef. There's like 3 major ones. They're like huge. There's Hida, Matsusaka, and Kobe. Most Americans are familiar with the idea of Kobe, which they usually don't have real Kobe in America. It's usually like a mix of Angus mixed with Wagyu. It's not the same. It doesn't look the same at all. But in Matsusaka, this Matsusaka beef is so amazing. It is super oily though, but in a hamburger it's fine because the oil kind of bleeds out. It leaves just enough, and it was just so delicious. And if you cut it super thin and eat it raw, which I've done, it's not bad. And also if you put it on with like yeah, it's called yakiniku. It's like a Japanese barbecue. Oh, it's amazing. So if you ever go to Japan, hit up Matsudaga beef. I'm sorry, my friends in Kobe, but I think it's better than Kobe and Hida, which are also both delicious. I'm just saying Matsudaga is probably number one. So anyway, so we hit that up. We started talking, and then his girl went home, and him and I ended up staying out the whole night, like super, super late. And just, he's a foodie like me. And so we would just hit like restaurant after restaurant after restaurant. And he just tried to explain and show me the different pieces of Japanese culture. And it was just like a really amazing time because he was, like me, super direct, you know, because that was one of my problems with Japan is I didn't fit in because I was too direct. In America, my friends, well, let's just give my sister as an example. She said, Adam, you know that little voice in people's heads that says, don't say that or don't do that? And I said, yeah. And he goes, you killed yours. And there was so much truth to her statement that it rang true because I just would, it'd come in the head and no filter, I just say it. I've changed since then because I've lived in Asia for 6 years and Japan has taught me a new way of being. But when I'm around people that appreciate my direct candor, I love to be just let it flow, you know, just say what's on my mind. And he was like that, and he would cuss and he would say the parts about Japanese culture he didn't like and the parts he did like, and he would say the parts about American culture he liked. Like he was so direct, like most people aren't in Japan. And it was so refreshing. I had finally found a friend in Japan. And it was from that day onward, meeting him, that I slowly started to enjoy Japan. But I'll get into all those stories in other videos because I think they're deserving of their own video, not as just a highlight of this one. With that being said, I want to say that Japan is a very interesting country. It has a lot to offer a tourist. It has more to offer someone who has time to really immerse themselves and learn that culture, because it is a complex culture and it takes time to fully understand them. And I didn't like Japan until I really, truly started understanding it. What really helped me was, for one, my friend. And I had a Japanese girlfriend for about a year, and she taught me a lot too. And so with those two components, I learned to really appreciate Japan for what it is. And my favorite part of Japan is probably the art, because the artists in Japan really put their soul into it. In a conformist society, the level of determination it takes to be a nonconformist and create art is quite special to me. And the amount of devotion they put into their crafts, and there's so many different art styles unique to Japan that you don't see in other places in the world, that it just has so much to offer for those of you who appreciate art the way I do. So if you ever go to Japan, there's so much to offer a tourist in terms of food and fun. It is a cool country. And so I'll leave you at that. So Japan is my third home. I do love it. I am a little bit of a fanboy now these days, but I'll be honest, I have a lot of horror stories about Japan too, which we'll get to. So thank you so much for tuning in and joining me today. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed today's story. If you did, please make sure to like it, share, leave a comment. And there's like that little bell icon, I'm told, down there. If you click that, it'll send you a notification to your phone when I upload a new video, and that way you can get my next video and I don't have to remind you on Facebook on the art page. So thanks again for coming, guys. I appreciate you all. Thank you.
This is Colorblind Creation. This is Colorblind Creation. This is Colorblind Creation.